Boom, click, boom.
Welcome back to Director's Choice. There are some characters who make us question, do I love them or do I just love to hate them? These characters are the anti-heroes, the characters who we find ourselves both rooting for and against.
Meow.
One of the most entertaining anti-heroes to grace the television screen is Sterling Archer. He's often like a car crash, at times painful to watch, but we can't help but stare. For 11 seasons, we've watched this secret agent compromise missions, treat women and his co-workers like garbage, and test the boundaries of taking things too far. The fact is though, there's no way the show Archer could have lasted 11 seasons if its main character was truly unlikable. While Sterling Archer is not meant to be the type of character who we want to take out to lunch and delve into an emotional conversation with, he is meant to be someone we can sympathize for.
Here we go.
Throughout the course of the show, we've watched Archer battle a traumatic childhood, insecurity, and an immense amount of stress. But could we also have been watching a man struggling with his mental illness this whole time? Today, we are going to take a closer look into the psychology behind this brash, egotistical anti-hero and attempt to diagnose the TV legend that is Sterling Archer.
Okay, hi, Sterling Archer, the world's greatest spy.
One of the first true glimpses we get into the degree to which Archer is suffering mentally is during an episode where he completely dissociates from his own identity. In the first episode of Season 4, Archer pops up in another cartoon, Bob's Burgers. On the surface, this is a funny jab at the fact that the actor who voices Archer, H. John Benjamin, also voices Bob Belcher. These characters could not be more opposite. One is a playboy with a license to kill, while the other is a humble family man who flips burgers for a living.
I don't know, he called me Archer. Maybe they think I'm somebody else.
Somebody who gambles?
When would I gamble, Linda? The 6 hours a night I get to sleep? Because the other 18 hours...
While it was extremely entertaining to witness Archer take on this polar opposite identity, he's actually going through a very severe psychological episode.
How could he not know who he is?
Psychogenic retrograde amnesia, also known as a fugue state and sometimes triggered by extreme emotional or psychological stress.
Inducing a fugue state is the psyche's way of escaping something it is incapable of handling. This is a blaring red flag that Archer is dealing with something that is going untreated. There is no doubt that Archer has PTSD. His entire career as a secret agent is filled with mentally scarring events. You name it, and Archer has probably either done it or seen it.
I've been shot, stabbed, set on fire, poisoned, shot, sexually assaulted, partially chewed, shot, and declared legally dead. Twice on the same day.
But we're not here to state the obvious. What we are here to do is prove that Sterling Archer is actually bipolar. Before we dive into this theory, let's take a moment to clarify what bipolar disorder is and what it is not. A lot of people seem to throw around the term bipolar like Archer's mother throws vases.
This to Mallory, you know how she gets.
Odin?
Well, here, God!
They are the stuff throwing his family.
People often associate being bipolar with someone whose emotions can go 0 to 100 real quick. But that's simply just not the case. The term bipolar is actually very broad. There are different types of bipolar disorder, and it is exhibited in many different ways. We believe that Sterling Archer has bipolar 1 disorder. A bipolar 1 diagnosis is not taken lightly. In order to be considered as someone with bipolar 1 disorder, a person has to display an intense manic episode that lasts for at least 2 weeks. These manic episodes can last much longer than 2 weeks though. People with type 1 bipolar disorder can go into a manic episode that lasts for months. But we think that Sterling Archer has been experiencing a manic episode that's lasted years. During seasons 1 to 7 of the show, we witness Archer exhibit behaviors that are dangerous, dysfunctional, and at times just outright bizarre. But what if there's more to Archer's antics than just pure audience entertainment? What if seasons 1 to 7 are actually displaying a 7-year-long manic episode? Archer exhibits multiple symptoms of someone who is going through a bipolar 1 manic episode, such as an overinflated ego.
I mean, seriously, Lana, at some point, you really gotta ask yourself
It's not the time.
if maybe the luckiest spot in the galaxy is standing right next to me.
and an abnormal sense of happiness.
Nope, can't hear you. I'm too happy.
But I'm serious, Archer. If you don't slow down.
I'll keep feeling this incredibly vibrant and alive.
Yeah, right up until you blow the damn engines.
But one of the biggest symptoms of Bipolar 1 manic episode is engaging in risky behavior. This is the type of behavior that exhibits impaired judgment of possible consequences. I mean, the guy tattooed a baby, for God's sake.
You can't tattoo a freaking baby!
That's what the tattoo guy said. I had to slip him an extra $100.
The kind of risky behaviors that a person with Bipolar 1 displays include hypersexuality, excessive spending, and substance abuse. Sound like anyone we've mentioned? These behaviors are basically what make Archer, Archer. Let's start with the fact that Archer is a notorious playboy. His sexual escapades range anywhere from dipping his pen in the company ink
You don't sex on the women at ISIS?
to sleeping with international royalty.
Had sex with a baroness, a marquise, a vicomtesse, the 2 princess sisters, a duchess.
Your mom's dog?
No!
The wife of a duke?
Yes!
What makes his hypersexuality fall into the category of risky behavior, though, is the fact that all, or at least most of his sexual encounters with women don't involve what most would consider safe sex practices.
Just so you know, I've never worn a condom. Ever.
There's even a running joke that he's been spreading STDs all over the office, and maybe even the world.
He better not have syphilis.
Why had he better not have syphilis?
Because syphilis is bad, dude.
Next, let's address Archer's relationship with money. Archer views money the same way he views most women. Disposable. The very first episode of Archer involves him desperately trying to hide his expense accounts because they would expose just how much he regularly overspends on his own pleasures.
How did I spend that much money? Yeah, I know it's sexy, Woodhouse. That's why I bought 10.
And if James Bond has taught us anything, it's that international playboy spies like Archer love to gamble. People with Bipolar 1 tend to take gambling to a level where they're betting on money they don't have. And Archer has no problem with this. He, at one point, even gambles away his co-workers' retirement funds.
I will put you down.
Well, how am I the bad guy? Mother's the one who stole our retirement money. All I did was foolishly lose it.
He does have a point.
Last, and most certainly not least, is substance abuse. One of the most stable relationships in Archer's life is his relationship with alcohol.
For I am a sinner in the hands of an angry God. Bloody Mary, full of vodka, blessed are you among cocktails. Pray for me now, and at the hour of my death, which I hope is soon. Amen.
There's no doubt that Archer is a functioning alcoholic. Fun fact, in all of the show's 11 seasons, there is not a single episode in which we don't see him either drunk, drinking, or at least holding some sort of alcoholic beverage in his hand. Archer is not just any alcoholic, though. He's an international spy who drinks on the job.
We'll rendezvous with my research vessel in a few hours, so in the meantime, I guess, continue to make such wildly liberal use of the bar. Done!
In and of itself, excessive drinking is a risky behavior that often leads to other risky behaviors. Add a gun and a license to kill into the picture, and the situation becomes outright dangerous. But no matter how risky, Archer always seems to elude the consequences of his manic behavior.
I might be immortal.
That is, up until the end of Season 7, where he is repeatedly shot and goes into a coma. Archer's coma lasts for 3 years, or in TV terms, 3 seasons. Seasons 8 to 10 of the show take place in Archer's unconscious mind. During these 3 seasons, we get a front row seat to what's really going on behind Archer's Iron Curtain. We witness him process the last 7 seasons of the show, and ultimately his entire life, through flashbacks, changing identities, and the limitless possibilities of living in a fictional realm. It isn't until the last episode of Season 10, though, that Archer truly comes face to face with the fact that he is mentally ill. All of Season 10 takes place in space, and in this final episode, he is tried in federal galactic court for attempting to murder Lana, who is arguably the only woman he has ever truly loved. During his trial, his lawyer, who is actually his own hallucination, directly addresses the fact that Archer is mentally ill
Something is wrong with your brain. You need to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Beg them for mercy and realize you're hallucinating me.
After that, things start to get pretty metaphorical. In the middle of his intergalactic court trial, the spaceship experiences a security breach. Their ship is being boarded by a robot who is on a mission to kill.
And there ain't no party like a boarding party, 'cause a boarding party don't stop.
From there, Archer convinces the rest of the team to let him go in order to help them defeat it. When they come face to face with the robot, they realize it's actually Archer's most notorious arch nemesis, Barry. In the middle of the standoff, the spaceship issues a warning that it is about to self-destruct. This self-destruct warning is both literal and figurative, but Archer ends up responding to it in a way that is very out of character.
Sterling, no!
Mother, it's okay. You go. I need to stay here for a while.
Archer.
Detonation in 90 seconds.
Go!
For the first time, he is holding himself accountable for his own self-destructive tendencies and not relying on the other members of his team to get him out of a situation he put himself in. Right before the ship explodes, though, something very subtle yet important happens.
Yes! They're safe, Barry!
Detonation in 10.
Are they?
9.
What?
8.
Are they safe?
7.
Yes!
Once the ship explodes, a montage plays of important memories from the past 10 seasons, and he basically sees his life flash before his eyes. While Archer watches how his manic behavior has affected people other than his own self, the audience sees Archer's unconscious mind answer the question of whether or not the team around him is really safe. The fact is, Archer's prolonged manic episode has put everyone he relies on in danger. Once this jam-packed moment of realization stops, Archer finally comes out of his 3-year-long coma.
Goddamn Barry.
Season 11 of Archer picks up from there. In the first episode of the latest season, we witness Sterling Archer exhibit another important symptom of Bipolar 1 disorder, a depressive episode. Depressive episodes back up the saying, what goes up must come down, and Archer has been on and up for quite some time now. Sterling displays multiple symptoms of a depressive episode, such as a lack of motivation.
I was thinking maybe I just do what I did yesterday, stare into the void stares into me, mostly void stuff.
Irritability.
Good morning, sir. I'm your new...
It's 9:02!
And extreme loneliness.
What do you think?
It kind of looks like that thing where you've been away for a long time, and when you come back, no one really cares, and people have moved on, and you're all alone, and nobody understands you.
Some people might argue that these are all just symptoms of someone who is adjusting to coming out of a 3-year-long coma. But people with Bipolar 1 disorder tend to go into a more prolonged depressive episode, and the show insinuates that Archer has been going through a depressive episode that's lasted months.
What house? What house?
Put all this together, and you have a character who fits the textbook definition of someone with Bipolar 1 disorder. Whether you believe all, some, or even none of this, just remember that we don't always know the demons that someone else is battling, and there's always an underlying why behind a person's behavior, no matter how unlikable they may seem. Take a look at this other recent clip by Director's Choice, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified with our latest videos.